Greetings, Niakoma. You know what's sad? When what's sad is when the worst relationship that you've ever had in your life is actually the best relationship. And this is really, really horrible. I talk to clients often who are fighting and holding on to a relationship that really sucks. And we're going back and forth, and very quickly I just say, listen, why is this relationship so important? Um, why is this relationship so important to you? And when we start to investigate, like, why it has a value, if you can obviously see that it's crazy, and I can obviously see that it's crazy, what we find oftentimes is outside of sometimes it's just general loneliness. People don't want to be alone, so they'd rather take a bad relationship sometimes to be alone. But also, too, in concert with that is when your standards have been really low for most of your intimate life, then when something's mediocre or blah or average, or really most of the time what I see is a below average, people are fighting, scratching, clawing, and hanging on to relationships that actually are really whack. And it's a sad thing to see, because what you recognize, what I recognize often, what Nawash and I recognize, and what the client begins to recognize is that my standard is so low that anything crazy is worth fighting for. And it's not an attack of the person or a judgment of their value, because we all have supreme value as Black people. But this is not about what you're worth. It's about your standards, what you're used to, what you have created as a norm for yourself. That's what a standard is. A standard is something that normally happens. And so when your standards have been low for so long, you will claw, scratch, fight, bite, kill to hang on to relationships that are actually not good for you. And this is really sad. So the remedy to this is to make sure that you're in community. Why? Because communities of healthy relationships they model or they demonstrate the best practices of the art and science of Black love culture. This becomes something you can model. If you're constantly around the right thing to do, then doing the right thing just becomes normal. It becomes something that is appropriate. And so when this comes for resolving conflict and how to argue or harmonizing styles or communicating or courting or whatever, you need to be in communities where this is not just we're just talking about relationships and the ups and downs of them, as most relationship communities are talking. You're actually modeling the best practices. And there are people there that are well seasoned in what the best practices are. They're far from perfect, but they're able to generally produce what it is that they want out of relationships on a regular basis. And they're the best people to follow. So we see that people are lost in this, and they're hanging on to relationships that, frankly, as they get older and look back on life, they'll regret that they stayed in a relationship for their peak years of their life that was actually mediocre, when the possibility to rise up to their fullest potential was in front of them. This is part of the reason why we created the Black Love School. This is why we're telling people that you need community. This is one of the main reasons we're telling people you need community. And I believe this is why we're attracting singles and couples from 11 countries around the earth. I don't know of a group that's doing that. I mean, the main reason is because we're centering these concepts around a universal Black culture, the art and science of Black culture. And so whether you're in Tanzania or Sierra Leone or Ghana or the Congo or Botswana or Chicago or the UK or Australia, Germany, New York, Philadelphia, DC, etc., or Canada, these universal principles work the same as they do for all the black people in Brazil. And so this is what I think people are getting. And if you've ever come to a live call, you see that we often have representative from the places that I just named. And we're coming together, being led in the classes, in the pre-recorded classes and the live call around best practices with the 7 skills. Life and love purpose, conscious courting, 3D communication, harmonizing of styles, intimacy and sex, resolving conflict, and love legacy. So if you're interested in those pro-social, productive, positive, and uplifting behaviors when it comes to the art and science of Black love culture, the Black Love School is absolutely the place for you to be. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Ni Koma.